no lives matter. So it's a straight war. I'll be real with you. It's war. We're at war. This isn't like they say. There's no friends at war. So I respect the guy. As you said, he's done well, all that good stuff. But we're fighting.
To fight? Not as of yet. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to go get my head bashed in. Sparring is sparring, and we can see some sort of technicality being shown. Now, a lot of people are calling it fake. They're saying that it's set up.
Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, some of the best the sport's got in the heavyweight division. And he said there's no way these guys are actually going in there and sparring to the full extent. Look, you're a fighter. You've had so many camps throughout your life. Do you think Jake is almost asking them to go easy, or do you think this is proper sparring going on?
The point of sparring is to learn. The point of sparring is not for them to get in there and give Jake a concussion so he can't fight.
Anthony Joshua has repeatedly dismissed Jake Paul's knockout sparring footage as exaggerated and misleading. He claims the clips are designed to make Paul look more effective than he actually is. Joshua stresses that real sparring should be competitive, balanced, and intense, adding that the truth will be revealed inside the ring. Despite his criticism, Joshua still acknowledges Paul as a worthy opponent who deserves respect.
Him as a boxer?
Yeah, definitely. He's always wanted to be a boxer. He's got a stand-up game. I respect him as a boxer.
Several analysts have criticized Jake Paul's sparring footage, arguing that it is selectively edited to highlight only moments where he appears dominant. They claim that releasing short knockout clips fails to provide an accurate assessment of his overall performance. Critics suggest that 3 to 4 full rounds of sparring should be shown to fairly evaluate his abilities. They also point out that the sparring partner Paul knocked out was not highly skilled, making him easier to hit than an elite heavyweight.
Of the sparring videos, that I agree with that. If we're going to see that clip of you knocking this guy down, we want to see at least a full round. We want to see what you're actually doing. If you're going to show us knocking this guy down, show us more. Is his opponent any good? Okay, that's another very good question. His opponent may just be, and we couldn't really see much of him there. He didn't really throw a shot. His opponent might be a nobody. His opponent might be a guy who started box fit a few weeks ago. So that's a very good point. It's things like this we have to actually ask when we, boxers essentially putting up videos of them knocking people out. Who is this guy? You need to know that, because then that kind of qualifies that knockout or knockdown to be good or bad.
Andrew Tate weighed in on Jake Paul's sparring sessions, suggesting that the heavyweight fighters involved are not giving their full effort. He explained that sparring is meant for learning and development, but in these sessions, the fighters appear to be holding back. According to Tate, they are being paid by Paul, which shifts their focus toward completing the session rather than seriously challenging him. As a result, punches lack full intensity and defensive pressure is reduced, limiting the realism of the sparring.
You think that's everything wrong with the sport?
I think as a boxing purist, it's quite upsetting to watch, young fighters struggle to pay the bills and struggle in little shithole gyms around the country trying to get big money fights and going through the Olympics and going through the amateurs and not being able to pay their bills. And I understand how frustrating that can be. So I think that's where the frustration comes from. I don't think it's everything that's wrong with boxing. I think that anything that gets people to tune in to a boxing match is good for the sport.
One more comment that he said was, Jake's been sparring Frank Sanchez, Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, some of the best the sport's got in the heavyweight division. And he said there's no way these guys are actually going in there and sparring to the full extent. Look, you're a fighter. You've had so many camps throughout your life. Do you think Jake is almost asking them to go easy, or do you think this is proper sparring going on?
The point of sparring is to learn. The point of sparring is not for them to get in there and give Jake a concussion so he can't fight. So are they trying to knock Jake out? No. But are they giving him enough work for him to learn?
Gareth A. Davies did not hold back when discussing Jake Paul.
Riyadh, I watched him knock out Francis Ngannou inside 2 rounds. Yeah. How can that go 3 rounds with Jake Paul?
It's very hard to knock out somebody that just hasn't come to fight and somebody that's just trying to survive. And that's what I think will happen to Jake Paul.
Do you think he'll run?
I think he'll run like a thief in the night. Once he sees the size of Joshua, those little 10-ounce gloves that they're going to be wearing, he's going to be petrified, and his backside will fall out.
I went to the press conference in Miami for that a couple of weeks ago, and he was planning to motorboat AJ, and he thought differently of it when he was standing with him.
Good luck with that, mate.
No, AJ was he'd have got motorboated out of there.
Listen, mate, listen. Good luck with that, because if he starts out with AJ, puts his chin out and starts trying to goad him in, I think Anthony Joshua will definitely iron him out early.
Do you think he finishes his boxing career then?
Let's hope so.
If Jake Paul does something weird and wins, is that impossible?
Nothing's impossible. Nothing is impossible. Highly unlikely, but not impossible.
If you'd been invited to fight Jake Paul for 25, I've heard it's 25 million. That's me behind the scenes. Other people have told me it's 60. Other people have told me it's more for Anthony Joshua. If you had been a current world champion and you've been offered that fight with Jake Paul, would you have taken it?
100%.
So he had to take it.
He had to take
So
it.
you've got nothing against him taking it?
I've got nothing against him taking it, spending the money even. Still got nothing against that. My concern is for the health and safety of Jake Paul and the sport of boxing.
Because boxing will be pulled into the dock if something happens to Jake. It would never have been licensed.
Jake Paul has spoken openly about the intensity of his recent training camps. In interviews, he revealed that sparring with top-tier heavyweights has left him physically battered, including suffering a nose injury. While promotional footage highlights knockout moments, analysts say the sessions tell a more complex story. Some observers noted that Paul's sparring partners appeared to exaggerate reactions to relatively minor punches, raising questions about how accurately the clips reflect his true in-ring effectiveness.
Nose has moved a couple millimeters to this camp. I'm not gonna lie, this sparring the heavyweights, my nose has slight little something in there. A guy by the name of Frank Sanchez, he definitely cracked it a little bit. But yeah, man, it's bad. Wait, hold on. Look at that, dude. I'm like Squidward, dog. But don't respect me for getting in there. Respect me when I beat his ass. I'm not just walking into a fight. I'm going to win. That's what's going to shock the world. I will become the king of boxing.
Analysts reviewing Jake Paul's knockout sparring footage have questioned its authenticity. They observed that opponents often reacted disproportionately to his punches, sometimes moving themselves toward the ropes or corners after light contact. These exaggerated reactions create the appearance of dominance but may not reflect how Paul would perform against an elite heavyweight. Commentators caution that the clips are effective for promotion, but should not be viewed as definitive proof of his readiness.
What shot did it or something like that. Like, even if you, especially if you see a replay, sometimes it happens so fast. Like, if it's a replay, usually like, oh, there's the one, or like you get a reaction when someone gets hit. You're not like, oh, I wonder if. Like, if you're questioning it, then typically the fighter gave in or decided to kneel down or push himself out of the ring or wanted to get out of the fight. You can tell right away. Like, when I land a body shot on somebody or when I got hit by a body shot, you could tell. I don't know, you guys can make your own assessment, but to me, this is a little sketchy. To me, the person he was boxing, obviously.
BJ Flores, a former trainer of Jake Paul, offered insight into the mindset behind these sparring decisions. According to Flores, Paul's goal is not simply to entertain, but to prove that he can compete with legitimate professional boxers. Unlike his earlier bouts against celebrities or athletes from other sports, Paul is now deliberately testing himself against larger and more technically skilled fighters. Flores believes this reflects genuine ambition and a serious desire to move beyond novelty fights.
Very, very tough fight. And, to anybody in the industry, Anthony Joshua is a world champion, a gold medalist. This is a big difference from, anybody else that, Jake's fought in the past. But, he's looking for these big challenges. He wants to fight the toughest guys. And I think with Anthony Joshua, he got exactly that. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a guy I would have never dreamed in a million years Jake would have fought him. In his fifth year boxing, in a fight situation like this. I thought he would have given it a little more time, but I mean, this is an extremely difficult fight. Anthony Joshua is 6'6", 245 pounds, extremely dangerous, gold medalist, world champion, and I think this is a very, very difficult fight for Jake. So I wouldn't have made this fight. No.
What do you give it in terms of percentage wise? Like 60% AJ wins, 40% Jake Paul wins, or 50-50, 70-30? How do you give it?
Well, I mean, you got to go up when you go off the resumes. That's what I go off of. A lot of people will say potential, like, oh, this could happen, this could happen. I only go off like who's beating who. So if you look at it on paper, it doesn't look like Jake has any chance on paper. But I think that's probably why he wanted to make this fight. And like I said, I'm not in the camp, so I don't know all the conversations that are going on in camp Jake Paul right now. But on paper, this looks like an extremely difficult fight. And any boxing experts, that I've talked to, whether it's former fighters or whoever, just they don't give Jake any chance at all. I'm not saying he doesn't have any chance. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, everybody in the know-how as far as the boxing world, they're like, Jake has zero chance to win this fight. And, it is on paper, though. It does seem like it's early. And it does, seem like it's premature, in my opinion.
So what are you giving it then? A 90-10?
Like AJ's had, I don't know, probably I want to say 13.
Despite these efforts, critics continue to question Paul's choice of sparring partners. Some analysts argue that while his partners are heavyweights, they differ significantly from Anthony Joshua in reach, technique, and adaptability. The widely circulated knockout of Greg Hardy, for example, has been criticized as misleading, with observers noting that Hardy was relatively easy to hit. Critics suggest that effective preparation for Joshua requires sparring partners who can replicate his speed, power, and tactical awareness, something Paul's current lineup may not fully provide.